they need remembering. Anyway, double British Superbike champ Josh Brooks, the debutant here this year. I'm sure he now knows there is nothing quite like Macau when it comes to road racing. He's still learning his way around, but we'd expect him to pick up the pace as the event goes on. And he, of course, has no better teammates than 9 times winner, the Batham's backs, Michael Rutter and Peter Hickman, who's won here 3 times, of course, all running in the MGM FHO Racing colours. The sun is out this morning. It was quite overcast yesterday. However, you may have noticed a moment ago, got a bit of a breeze going on today. It is quite windy. It's something I've never really known here at Macau in the past. However, talking with this man yesterday, Michael Rutter, as the wind was picking up yesterday afternoon as well, and I said, is that an issue here at Macau? He said, no, not at all. So if you're going down into Lisboa, you'd think maybe a strong wind funneling in between the buildings might change braking marks, etc. But I said, no, it's not an issue here at Macau. So Michael Rutter, who was got a brand new bike beneath him. In fact, and there's the man who won last year, Ono Customo, but talking to Rutter, he was really just still finding his way around that motorcycle. A lot of the riders this morning, maybe the likes of Davey Todd, they'll be looking to set their fastest qualifying times in this session. That's generally the plan. Yesterday, free practice, everything's been bedded in. They've been getting used to the bikes and remembering their way around. There's Julian Trummer as well. And this session tends to be the one when they set their fastest times. I think maybe, say good morning to Brian McCormack as well, but I would say that the majority will post their quickest times in this session, and then this afternoon they'll be trying tyre compounds, etc., to find out which works best, making tweaks here, there and everywhere. But Rutter and Brooks, you would say, the way things are going with the way they're setting their bikes up, they will go quicker this afternoon, but we'll see. We shall see. I would expect this man to maybe, we're looking around 27s, 26s for this time, 2 minutes 26 and 2 minutes 27. Hickman, the fastest in yesterday's free practice, but that is all it is, free practice. This morning is when it happens. And then there's that breeze I was telling you about. It is quite windy. And in fact, amazingly, last night it was quite chilly around Macau. So Nadia shoots. Another, as everyone's waiting, 8 o'clock local time, midnight back in the UK is when pit lane will open. 45 minutes a session. We're just over a minute away from pit lane opening. There's Dave Johnson on the Dafabet Racing machine on the Kawasaki. Alongside him, his teammate Dominic Herbertson. Both of them, speaking with them this morning, both very, very happy with the way things were yesterday. Davo went out, came straight back in, made some adjustments, and they're happy with the way things are going. In fact, I can't think of any rider. I said before, the majority, I've not met anyone yet who said, yeah, that they weren't happy with the way things were yesterday. Michael Rutter would have obviously liked to have been a bit quicker, but as I say, it's a big learning process for the 9 times winner of Macau. There he is, the distinctive red and white helmet, and he's making sure he's going to be first away. His right-hand man, Warren, alongside him. Brian McCormack as well. Dave Johnson. One of 2 Australians here. Very international field, of course. Swiss riders, Austrians, Finns. So Davey Todd, give us something as team boss John Burrows, just checking something on the front. And as you can see, new tyres for a lot of the riders as well. The majority going for a soft rear. They have what's called a 1 on the front and a 0 on the back. And a mixture as well of Dunlops and Metzlers. So this is down into Mandarin. And this might just work in Davey Todd's favour. We'll see some riders they'd like to get away later. Rutter already first into Lisboa. Really bumpy on the approach on the left-hand side. You'll see a few riders will maybe drift over to the right as they come into Lisboa and then tuck back in. And then sometimes you get some of the machines, some of the riders will tell you the bikes will brake better as it's leaning. They can't explain why. Maybe it's a psychological thing, maybe, but yeah, some of the bikes, they'll find it that when they just start turning in, the bike will react on the brakes better than standing up. So Phil Crowe, one of the stragglers, waiting to go out. And Peter Hickman, as he did yesterday with free practice, letting the traffic go. He'll run his own. And I would expect him in the 129s yesterday. I would expect certainly Peter to be in the 127s. 123, of course, that lap record of Stuart Easton's, which, of course, Glenn Irwin, etc., have been inside during practice, but it's only during the race that the official time stands. That looks like Chris, Peter Hickman's right-hand man, just getting him ready to go out. Amazing, really. There was only 23 riders in this race, but you just look at those pictures, it looks like a lot more than 23. So Peter Hickman on his way. And providing the pictures, they have to stay inside that yellow line, and then they can go onto the track. This is coming out of Macau already. The majority of the field coming down into Fisherman's. Another 4 or 5 minutes before we start setting proper times, of course. So Hickman indeed is actually the last rider to go out. Phil Crowe was the second to last, David Todd third last. Everyone else pretty much in this first group. There was another second group that are just coming down onto Fisherman's now. But here goes Michael Rutter down. Again, a little bit of a lean. And Michael providing the pictures. So if you weren't with us yesterday, he was explaining how that bike of his is kind of... I don't want to make it sound... It was kind of thrown together. It's bits and pieces from Josh and Peter's superbikes that they used in the British Championship this year, and they've constructed this bike out of it. So that's why they're not up to speed with it just yet. That's why Michael Rutter is not posting times similar to the likes of Hickman and Costomo during free practice. They're still learning and finding things about this machine, where they can improve, where they can make it go faster, where Michael can feel comfortable. So Michael's gone softer front and back this morning in terms of tyres and settings. Oh, no. Is that Phil Crowe? So we've had a bike down, but he's on his feet. So the rider is okay. I don't know if that is Phil Crowe. I'll wait for confirmation. But so red flag, session is red flagged. So the riders will come back in. So that's a shame. Just as we were getting ready to post the first times. Had a completely incident-free session yesterday, but maybe he's just clipped one of those two walls that you have to worry about here at Macau, the one on the left and the one on the right. So the riders will come in, but with 40 minutes, well, they've frozen the 40 minutes on the clock, which is interesting. So they must be confident that we've got the time, but as we can say, it won't take too long to have that machine removed. And it does look as if it was Phil Crowe, but the rider, as I say, was on his feet. No, Phil Crowe, it wasn't Phil Crowe. I think, in fact, it might be Mark Goodings. Yeah, Phil Crowe, it definitely wasn't Phil Crowe. I believe it was Mark Goodings. So bike number 17 on the ZX10 Kawasaki, the British rider. But for the riders, they'll have already, they'll be able to give feedback, etc. Know exactly where they're going. They'll know exactly what the state of the course is this morning. Of course, yesterday they did what was, in effect, a street sweeping session. This is Peter Hickman providing the onboard picture. Just coming up through Moorish, and then into Donna Maria, then it's the Melco hairpin. So Mark Goodings then with a kind of, not really a wake-up call, but certainly it's just a reminder of that sometimes Macau can bite. It's been removed from the circuit, so it will be, in fact, it might be by the time Peter Hickman comes back round, it might be not that long before we get going again. So it looks like it was certainly just on the approach to police, I think, that Mark Goodings had his accident, so may have been at Moorish. Just Moorish, of course, is a right-hand turn. Police is a right-hand. It might just be that left-hand at turn 14 going into police. But it's all speculation on my half at the moment, so if I have that wrong, my apologies. And there is Phil Crowe. My apologies to Phil for initially thinking it may have been him. Certainly looked like a certain similar colour scheme. Brian McCormack coming back in as well.
For a short call to resume this qualifying session. Qualifying session will
I'll just see if we can hear anything that the cameras might just pick up. Of course, the car sessions, it's something of a regularity here at Macau that the cars are red flagged. Tends not to happen, thankfully, with the motorcycles. Davey Todd, I think, should be happy with the way things went yesterday. And there we are, Mark Goodings. None too worse for wear for what happened. Goodings, a name I always associate with Oliver's Mountain racing at Scarborough. There's Phil Crowe. I was talking about Michael though before, Michael Rutter. Now he's gone softer on both ends. Went on with a hard tyre yesterday, gone with a soft tyre this morning. There's Lucas Mora. And in a bid to get used to the superbike, the BMW. I just hear what he's got to say here.
Yeah, he's all right. That's just my probably hard to explain. Top San Francisco Hill, drop down, left, next right. Before the fast as you gain, if you like, in the middle. Hard to see though, isn't it, with the sunlight?
Yeah, that is very true what Peter was just saying there. The sun is low-ish in the sky this morning. That's Paul Williams. Davey Todd's machine. You can see the fact he's still got his helmet on. They expect to go out pretty soon. Rob Hodson, who was at Macau last year. Of course, this time he's with Robin Croft's SMT Racing Outfits, this week. He seemed very happy with the way things went yesterday. Yeah, he said it wasn't too bad a start yesterday. There, he's gone out on to yesterday's tyres to start with. And with, like many of the riders, looking to finish a race distance. And then maybe they might choose what rear tyre they'll use come the race. And then, of course, they'll, at some point in the session, they'll chuck a new tyre in to get a qualifying time. That generally happens towards the end of this session. But the great thing is they've still got 40 minutes to play with, so quite often you can have the clock will still be ticking and it all can get a little bit panicky, but yeah, that's not the case. So some common sense prevailing. Tyre warmers on. Come race day, it will be out a sighting lap. They'll form up, then they'll get a warm-up lap as well, Michael Evans. But there'll be, it's funny, it changes year on, year in, or yearly here at Macau, but certainly the rule seems to be that there'll be no starters, etc. on the grid, no tyre warmers, so they'll come round, they'll do a sighting lap, form up, they'll have a warm-up lap, and then within 4 minutes they'll be off again. And also, if, to counter that, if, say, for example, Peter Hickman was on pole position, you can't ride through the pack. So if he left the grid late for the start of the race and arrives at the back of the pack, he would then have to get off and push his machine to the start.
I'd lose so much time going through this section, the way I'm doing, and I'm just being too lazy on the throttle. Like, initial feeling, it's wanting to turn now. It's like, oh, it's like me all the, oh, it's amazing. You know what I mean? Just wanting to keep it.
You're not going in too early.
No, I'm
Dominic Herbertson there, his first time on 1000cc. Michael Rutten and his daughter, part of the team this week. But say Dominic Herbertson was saying it's the first time he's been on 1000cc since his crash at the TT, and he is absolutely loving being at Macau. So in fact it was turn 10 where where Mark Gooding stopped. So that's a little bit further before Payol and nowhere near police, etc. So yeah. One man we've not seen anything of this morning so far is the man who won here last year at Macau. That's Erno Costamo. Really happy with the way things went for him yesterday. He's looking to put in times of 1 minute 20, 2 minutes 27. There we go. So yeah, turn 10. It is all much of a muchness upper part of this part of the circuit. A lot of black and yellow. A lot of catch fencing, not a lot to sometimes distinguish. We can see there where he's just gone straight on. It's certainly not, sun certainly was not an issue. You can see from the shadows. But I was talking about Costamo, the Finn, who won the Macau Grand Prix last year. And his goal is to drive towards getting a 2 minute 27 in the session, going with a soft tyre. Making a few changes in the suspension and the electronics from yesterday. Dufferbat Racing teammates Davo Johnson and Dominic Herbertson. And Nadia Schutz, who was here last year as a debutant at Macau. Paul Jordan, who is absolutely loving things at Macau. Yesterday he said he had the perfect session. He is super confident. He says it's the best 1000cc superbike he's ever ridden anywhere. So great to see Paul Jordan. He was looking quite pensive there, as you would be. but in race mode. I can see him actually now smiling away. But yeah, I saw Paul this morning. He was so stoked after yesterday. Really loving things here in Macau, as I mentioned, the majority of the riders. So yeah, I was talking about Nadia Schutz, the first ever female motorcycle racer at Macau. She had a bit of a problem sleeping the night before the session, so she wasn't feeling that good yesterday. She said, I saw her at breakfast this morning, said she was feeling a little bit better. She slept a bit better last night. But she said despite that, she managed to enjoy herself yesterday and managed to get a bit of a flow going with the R1. She said she doesn't really find it that different to the ZX-10 that she competed on last year. Her plan, like everyone else, is to go faster, of course. She's got...
Qualifying session will resume in 30 seconds.
Oh, there we go. So we're about to get going. So, so Nadia says brake pads, changes to the front suspension. Got the same tyres today. She also said that she's going to take some more time how to figure out how to ride the bike on the track. As she said, really, as much as she enjoyed herself yesterday, she didn't really learn too much. And then she will look to improve on her times this afternoon. So she feels as if she's playing catch up a little bit. Josh Brooks, who he's one to keep an eye on. So too is Phil Crow. But yeah, so Josh Brooks, first time he is. Brian McCormack is about to go back out as well on the Roadhouse Macau FHO Racing BMW. But Josh Brooks, a couple of things happening in pit lane, but nothing much. Here is Olivia Luckberger from Switzerland on the Team Swiss Loopy by Heidegger Motorsport Kawasaki. Oh, a little bit too hot into Lisboa, but then again, maybe just using the space on the road to try and maybe find a later braking point. He certainly will be looking to improve on his times from yesterday, Luckberger. As I was saying with Josh Brooks, could he be, come race day, on the podium here? I think he probably... I've not spoken to him, so I'm just guessing. Just taking things a little bit easy, but again, they'll be certainly going around through turn 10, making sure that any dust that's down, etc., that the track is in perfect condition, and they do a great job here at Macau. Really look after the circuit, the surface, etc., cleaning it. Attention to detail is superb. So as I was saying, yeah, with Josh Brooks, I've not spoken to him as he comes through the shop. But it'd be interesting to know exactly what he made yesterday of his first time at Macau, as Hickman and Rutter are about to join the fray. But once Josh Brooks, and he's still learning his way around, but come race day, you would expect him to be up to speed, happy with his settings, and a real contender. It is, of course, a little bit different to the cars. You tend to have to be on the front row of the cars, maybe row 2, if you're in with a chance of winning at Macau. Bikes are different, but the start really is crucial. Peter Hickman, of course, remember him winning, was it 2015, was it, when he won from row 3? My apologies if I've got that wrong, but as long as you're on the first 3 rows, you are in with a good chance of winning. It's just that obviously you have to get a fantastic start and make sure you're toward the front as you go into Mandarin. In terms of the circuit, just going to watch David Todd coming down into Lisboa as well. You can see they don't hug the wall, you would think, the approach, but just on that left-hand side there, it is really, really bumpy. Then, of course, you've got to come in and commit for the turn. But you'll see a lot of riders will swing out and then swing back in. But really, once we're racing from this point up San Francisco Hill all the way down to the approach to Macau hairpin, overtaking generally doesn't happen. I mean, I've been coming to Macau since 2002 and really scratching, trying to think of times where I've seen, I remember seeing some epic battles. Steve Plater and Connor Cummins springs to mind. Glenn Irwin, of course, Peter Hickman. But I can't really remember anywhere where you see a rider make a move. It is pretty much follow the leader all the way around through this section. And then once they come down, you can maybe on the brakes into the Macau hairpin. Then after that, out of Fisherman's and into our bend, and then all the way through, round into Mandarin, etc. There really is nothing like the Macau Grand Prix, is there, folks? So Davey Todd posting some good times yesterday. He's on the Burroughs Engineering bike that Mike Brown rode throughout this year. There's David Datzer, the German rider, the only German rider here this year on the MTP Racing by Zero up Pens 13 BMW. Went so well last year, and he could be a top 6 rider. Even with the added Brits this year, he could well be on for a top 6. So Davey Todd with a 2:28.2. Datzer with a 2:30.0. Julian Trummer with a 2:33.8. Josh Brooks with a 2:38.4. But judging on what we saw yesterday in free practice, you'd be looking at the moment in terms of contenders: Peter Hickman, Davey Todd, and Erno Costomo. Erno Costomo was in the 27s, that's what he's looking for this time. He was on a superbike last year, he's on a super stock this year. It's a trick super stock, I think maybe with a few little bits and pieces, some superbike parts perhaps. But he won. Really hitting around the 27s. He will have to go faster than that this year if he's going to reclaim his crown. Or so you would think. Davey Todd out, looking to maybe, he's just had a quick first sector, second sector not so. But early days, of course, and it's towards the end of this session is when we expect to get very, very excited. So Michael Evans on the Suzuki. So Lisboa. Yep, Lisboa. Not too much runoff, if any, really, anywhere else around the circuit. So, yeah, it had to be Lisboa. As I was saying, this is the Macau hairpin, very famous. It really drops down on the right on the inside of the turn. So here comes Datzer. That looks like the Frenchman Timothy Monod behind him as well. And I'm sure the riders will be saying the track's coming to them a lot quicker today because, of course, they had all the F3 cars and the TCRs and all the touring cars, etc. were on the track yesterday, putting down lots of rubber. We've had no rain at all since then, so all that rubber will remain. And the surface will be getting better and better and better. Hickman just does a 2:30.0, but he's just on a fastest sector. First sector is just, it comes down to the approach to Lisboa. That's where the speed trap is as well. If you see any speed trap information, it's just before Lisboa. I'm trying to think who it was yesterday did 299 kilometers an hour, but that was because they ran straight on at Lisboa. Was it Michael Rutter? I think. So you're looking at 275 kilometres an hour. Generally comes up, there's the top speed on the speed trap going into Lisboa, or the approach to Lisboa. Now then, last time these two were on a racetrack before this weekend was in Imatra in Finland. Erno Costomo, the king of the Imatra, Peter Hickman, the king of the Isle of Man. But who will be the king of Macau this year? That title currently belongs to Costomo, the Finn. Josh Brooks said he was following Costomo yesterday, said he was impressed with the way the Finn looked very smooth going around. So here we are into the hairpin. And then, could be maybe a little bit of a psychology may just go on, may just come into play. If Peter Hickman can get close enough and past Costomo going down in before they get to Lisboa, and Hickman will be giving the Finn a reminder, as in fact, Costomo looks behind him now, so yeah, Costomo slowed right up. In fact, good thinking. So he's now going to follow Hickman around and learn from Peter Hickman, because Costomo, having won here, has never gone as fast as Hickman has in the past. So we now see where Hickman is strong and see where he can use the track to his advantage. So good work, good thinking from Costomo. Whether he knew Hickman was there or not, this is riding with Hickman into Mandarin. Super fast. And you just see how Costomo drifts out of Mandarin there, trying to stay with Peter Hickman, so he certainly is getting a lesson. And the foot comes out. Now, why is Peter Hickman doing that? Is he trying to slow down? Is it for balance? No. The reason Peter Hickman has his leg out going into Lisboa is because the pegs are hot. His feet are getting hot, and he cools his right foot down. It's something that he did at the TT this year for the first time, and he said it improved his racing no end. So yeah, incredible. He was the only one who did it yesterday. Costomo's followed suit, because I think Costomo is just, well, if Peter Hickman's doing it, I'm doing it as well, if that's what it takes to go faster around here. Oh, another rider just overshooting at Lisboa. Was that Datsa? Davey Todd with the fastest time of this session, 2:28.2. Hickman, by the way, was a 2:29.0. But I think we'll keep an eye on Peter Hickman as well, because he has certainly done a couple of quick sectors, sectors 1 and sector 3, which is from maternity on the run up towards police. Hickman will be coming around soon. Here he is. So here's Peter Hickman. In and out of the hairpin. So sector 4 just coming now. In fact, no, it's not gone any quicker through sector 4. Costomo stayed with him though. Yeah, so Peter Hickman's coming in. Costomo looks as if he's carrying on. But again, it's all about learning really throughout this session. Just because Peter Hickman put in quick sectors on 1 and 3, it's all about getting that perfect lap time later on in the session. When we get down to around 15-10 minutes to go, we'll suddenly see, at the moment we just have 4 riders inside 2 minutes 30. That's Todd, Hickman, Costomo and Datsa. Costomo getting a good tow there from Peter Hickman, just on that previous lap. So 2:29.3, but he's certainly looking to find a couple more seconds. Here's Michael Evans, down in 16th fastest so far. Number 16 just going through Paul Williams. Rob Hodson currently 7th. Quite happy with the way things went yesterday. Paul Jordan 8th fastest, Julian Trello 9th. Quite a few of the top 10 are in pit lane at the moment. Brian McCormack on the Roadhouse Macau FHO Racing BMW. There's a Superbike engine in that machine. Stock chassis. It's on Dunlop tyres. Made his debut, what, 10 years ago? His main sponsors are a chap called Kieran out in Australia. He'll be at home watching now. They're called Feiho, who are such... who's actually making... crazy, really, but they're making their debut at Macau. It seems like they've been here for years, but... as the FHO racing team, of course, they were here as Aspire Ho in the past. But Brian McCormack grateful for the assistance that he's receiving from Feiho this week. So this is the elevated part of the gear circuit. They come out of Lisboa, they make that climb up the steep San Francisco hill. The TV cameras really flatten it out somewhat. But they then say they ride on this part at the top. And all the part below, it's incredible, is reclaimed land. There's a lighthouse up here on this part. So here we're riding with Michael Rutter, the Batham's backed rider. This is, I was just talking about out of Lisboa, and this is San Francisco Hill. Yeah, just see a little bit there. It actually is a bit steeper than that. It really does rise. It'd be nice to stay with Michael for a little bit, maybe with the onboard cameras if we can, and having said that, the director chooses not to. But here's Josh Brooks, still finding and feeling his way around Macau. Michael Rutter went out on both Josh Brooks and Peter Hickman's superbikes at Donington before coming out here to get a feel, as this bike that he's on was being put together just to get used to the superbike, the BMW again. I don't know whether maybe Josh Brooks was going to follow Michael for a bit, perhaps, just again to learn his way around. Really good, as is with a lot of the riders, all good camaraderie, all willing to help each other. There really is no better sight than Michael Rutter going around Macau. Such a smooth rider, it's got to be natural. Comes down into the hairpin. And it's strange, really, Macau. A lot of riders will tell you, you know, slow in, fast out. It's really at Macau, generally fast in, fast out. One thing that never gets mentioned as well, you never read about it or hear too much about, is really, so we're talking about lap times, so average speeds. So an average speed, the top average speeds around Macau are in the 90+ mile an hour. You're talking about 95 mile an hour. So things like 100 mile an hour lap are a long way off. So generally they're all in their 90+ mile an hour average lap speeds. So let's see when we pick up Michael coming into Lisboa. He's gone through already. We'll drop back to Josh Brooks. So here comes Josh. Still learning his way around, and you can see there he really did stick over to the left. It is quite bumpy on the left-hand side of the road. It's a lot smoother just to the right of that. Something's giving him food for thought. So I think we'll expect to see Josh maybe come in at the end of this. So just over 20 minutes of the session remaining. Rutter's now gone inside. He's done a 2:29.7. So we have 5 riders inside 2 minutes 30. No one has ridden more laps on a motorcycle around Macau than the man we're currently witnessing on screen. Costomo is on a quicker, later sections on this lap. Here he is coming through now. So Hickman's gone back out as well. Davey Todd is still in. So Costomo's fastest so far, a 2:29.3. And he does a 2:29.1, so 2/10 faster for Costomo, keeps him in 3rd place, keeps him behind Hickman and Todd. I think given the quality of the competition here this weekend, if Costomo could get on the podium, he would be delighted. The question is just, I think maybe, can Josh Brooks get up to speed as quickly as Costomo can? Now, of course, Costomo didn't make his debut last year, did he? In fact, he crashed here back in 2017, I think. Certainly a few years ago. But last year came back and won. Maybe you'd have to say Josh Brooks would be looking to, perhaps, if he is going to make an impression at Macau this year, certainly be looking to match his times. Brooks, though, still in the 2:35s at the moment. He's in at the moment as well. Michael Rutter is still out. And here is Peter Hickman. He said yesterday, with getting the onboard pictures, he said he was racing around and he glanced and he saw himself on one of the big screens. And he said it just took his eye for a moment. He saw his onboard on the screen. So you see that yellow line there. They have to stay inside that yellow line, just as Olivier Lutzberger did. They're not allowed to cross over. Peter Hickman is on a fast 1st sector. So Peter Hickman doing a 24.0 on the 1st sector. It's on the approach to Lisboa. So it could be the fastest lap of this session. Could be about to happen. Traffic always plays its part, of course, has to be taken into consideration. But as I mentioned earlier, getting pole position, brilliant confidence booster, etc. Not necessarily essential at Macau. Just make sure you want to be on the front row, of course. But even if not, 2nd row is not too bad, neither is 3rd. And having said that, Hickman does a fast sector. His 2nd sector not so quick. The run up through Lisboa to Maternity. And that could be the reason why he's not able to just get those 10ths in that he's looking for right now. You really need, for the best run, you need from Lisboa all the way to Melco, you need open track, no one ahead of you. Hickman just bouncing his way through. So Peter Hickman on bike 80, bike 88. So he's staying out of course. So Todd still with a 2:28.0. Todd is in the pits as things stand at the moment. And Hickman does a 2:30.0. So a second off his fastest time then. So 15 minutes left. There might be some new tyres being prepared as I speak. And they're just people waiting for the right gap in the traffic. But then looking to launch themselves out onto the gear circuit and make their way around. It's around 20 to 9 in the morning here at Macau. There is a second qualifying session later in the day. Oh, a little bit of movement. That is Fisherman's on the exit. But Costomo just snatching it back in. Well, this could be a good one for Costomo. 2:29.1's his best so far, and he goes quicker, 2:28.5. So 6/10 faster on that lap for Costomo. He's the fastest on sector 3, which is maternity up toward police. So here he goes down through Mandarin. Will he adopt the Peter Hickman chucking the leg out as he goes into Lisboa? Just the foot off the pegs. Oh, snatches as he just hits the brakes, hits the clutch. There's a lot of snatching going on there for Costomo. Made his Isle of Man TT debut this year. Just kept everything under the radar. As I may have mentioned earlier in the session, he was on a superbike last year and he's got a stock engine this time around. So the superbike wasn't really playing well for him as we look at Rob Hodson. Good to see Rob Hodson on our screens. So Rob Hodson goes 7th fastest to 2:30.6. So I think he's happier now. Every sector, he was quicker in on that lap. So too was Julian Trummer, who goes 9th fastest. Still Davey Todd, though, holding the #1 position. I think we're going to see the ante being up now. So Rob Hodson into Lisboa. And Hodson goes quicker again on that sector, so he's certainly twisting the throttle just that little bit harder. So it's Todd, Costomo, Hickman, Datsa, Rutter, Crow, Hodson, Johnson, Trummer and Jordan, the top 10. Todd and Rutter are still in the pits, but we are coming up to the 10-minute mark. Looks like McCormack has come in as well. Dominic Herbertson, I think, is in as well. I think Michael Evans is it that's in as well by the looks of things. Paul Jordan's just gone back out, bike 22. So Rob Hodson on Robin Croft's SMT racing machine. That's a Honda, of course. Two Hondas, in fact, yeah, his and Julian Trummer, the only Honda riders here. really bounced their way out. That was Julian Trummer on that other Honda, the WH Racing powered by Dyno bike. David Datzer just coming out of Fishman's, looking for a little bit of a tow perhaps. So Trummer and Datzer together. They know each other so well, of course, from the IRRC Championship. Rivals there, and now rivals here in Macau with 11 minutes left on the clock. It's still Todd, but Hickman, a 2:28.6 his last lap, keeps him in third place behind Costomo. He's just done a 24.2 on the first sector. Still quite breezy out there as well, and I really don't think that it plays any kind of part here at Macau. You think of places like the Sulby Strait, the Isle of Man, and the run down to Metropole at the Northwest 200, where the wind can get behind them and really kind of disrupt their braking markers, etc. But yeah, it was getting a little bit windy yesterday afternoon. And I was wondering, I just wonder whether that wind might funnel its way through, perhaps, say, to somewhere like to Lisboa. Both Michael and Peter Hickman said, no, you don't notice it at all. Makes no effect. If this sunshine remains, of course, it will be a lot hotter and a lot more humid this afternoon. Quite cool. It's the temperatures in the low 20s this morning here in Macau. But it might just become a little bit sweaty this afternoon. So Phil Crowe going well. His best is a 2:29.9. And he may be looking to improve on that on this sector. And it might just push him ahead of Rutter on the leaderboard. Datzer still in fourth place. Hickman did a 2:28.6, so again he's just upping it a little bit, and I think Peter Hickman would be looking for 27s in this session at the very least. But they're not panicking, they're just tweaking. David Datzer comes in, Julian Trummer stays out. So, Joey Thompson. That's Lisboa, so he's been looking for his braking marker. You just see him there as Peter Hickman goes round. So Hickman into Lisboa has just gone, in fact, Hickman's just gone pole, 2:27.9. Just as I was looking away there, so Hickman with a 2:27.9. So, as I mentioned, just before he did that, he was looking to go in the 27, so a 2:27.9 for Peter Hickman, pushes Todd down to second, Costomo to third. Phil Crowe, by the way, did improve. He is ahead of both Datzer and Rutter now. So Phil Crowe with a 2:29.4, he'll be delighted with that. Fourth fastest. Still, of course, 7 minutes of this session remaining. Julian Trummer in ninth place, 2:31.6, he's just improved. They sorted out quite a few things from yesterday. He was hoping they'd be going in the right direction, and a 2:31.6 would suggest they are. He started out this morning on the same tyre as yesterday. The softest tyre is kind of known within the paddock as an X, as Hickman goes past Nadia Schutz. Of course, that's the thing, it depends on the temperatures as well. It is quite cool this morning, so that might play a part in determining what tyres they go out on. Nadia Schutz is another I was talking to, and she says she just loves, we're talking about different bikes, and she says for her it's 1,000 cc's. She's not happy unless she is on a super stock, super bike. Michael Rutter, who is just picking up the pace a little bit on this lap as well. He's just done a 28.6. He's just done his fastest second sector. Todd is out as well. He's on track right now. Costomo has come in, as has Datsa. Don't forget a second session later on today to improve on these times. Hickman does a 24.0 on the first sector. Rutter again, a fast third sector as well. So I think we might just see Rutter going fourth fastest as long as he keeps continuing to go clear on this. He should go from sixth to fourth, I would estimate. Maybe not quite fast enough for third quickest. But here he comes. So Michael Rutter into Fisherman's. And of course, depending on whether he decides to complete the lap, he might want to come back in. Of course, they're still finding their way around that bike. In fact, he's staying out. John McElroy says they're still learning their way around, but it's all going in the right direction as far as things are concerned. And Rutter does indeed go fourth fastest. A 2:28.9 for Michael Rutter. So Michael Rutter fourth quickest as we see Davy Todd. Davy Todd could go past Peter Hickman on this one. This is why the director has switched to Davy Todd. Can he go inside 2:27.9? It is a fast lap for Davy Todd. Here we go. 2:28.0 was his fastest, and Davy Todd chucks in a 2:26.3. 2:26.3 for Davy Todd. There we go. Gauntlet well and truly thrown towards Peter Hickman. Hickman, though, is also on a fast one, so we've left it till 5 minutes of the session to really get things going. So 2:26.3, but Hickman could go inside that on this lap. Hickman is at the moment coming down out of Fisherman's. Here we are, this is on board with Peter Hickman coming into our bend. So will he go inside 2:26.3? I think he will. I think he will. It's a 2:26.1, 2/10 inside. So Hickman now takes over pole from Davy Todd. Are we getting a foretaste of things to come on Saturday? Say no more. So 2:26.1 for Hickman, 2:26.3 for Todd. Todd not quite as quick on this lap as he was on the previous one. Costomo still third with a 2:28.5. Michael Rutter has slowed up on this lap as well. So, wow. Well, certainly the likes of Peter Hickman and Davy Todd have sent a message to the rest of the field. This is what you're going to have to do if you're going to beat us at Macau this year. Hickman won't improve on that on this lap either. So I think it's safe to say all the brakes are bedded in, etc. That was a great lap, so 2:26.1 for Peter Hickman. Three-time winner, of course, at Macau. Last victory came in 2018. Pits. A lot of riders are in the pits, so whether we'll see much more movement on this leaderboard remains to be seen. Yeah, Davy Todd has really slowed up on this lap, so he won't improve on 2:26.3. So just under 2/10 of a second off the time set by Peter Hickman, 2:26.1. So there is Davy Todd with Michael Rutter just behind. So they're going to get another lap in, whether it's going to be another lap at top speed. Rutter certainly looks quick. You can see there just Michael Rutter just a little bit out. Todd electing to stay on the bumpier side on the left. Oh, and Todd just, yep, lets him go through. So that's what that was all about, and Michael says thank you. So back with Peter Hickman. This will not be inside 226.1. In fact, it'll be in the 230s, I think. So yeah, 239, in fact, just inside 240. But maybe he didn't have any traffic, so whether it looks like he's stayed out, Peter Hickman. Yes, indeed he has. He's got the likes of Paul Jordan and Brian McCormack up ahead of him, but there's a bit of a gap. Maybe they're too far ahead to disrupt Peter Hickman, so whether he would try to improve on that 226.1 remains to be seen. 30 plus seconds left before the checkered flag comes out. So David Datzer might just get another lap in if he's quick. Then after that, he will be the last one to cross the line, I think. The German rider, there he goes, David Datzer. There's Lucas Mora just on our screens as things stand, just outside the top 10. Oh, and Hickman's just in the fastest second sector, so it could be. Peter Hickman should be the one to watch again. He's gaining on Jordan and McCormack on the road, but I don't think they will hold him up. He won't unless they really slow down. So the session has come to an end, but the bikes are still on track and the times, the clocks are still ticking. Here is Lucas Mora in 12th place. He's actually putting in a pretty reasonable lap, the Swiss rider. But this is the man we need to watch, Peter Hickman. Oh, he's just slowed up on the third sector. So I think that 226.1 will be the time that will be set. As Datzer is putting in a fast final lap, we'll have to wait for David Datzer to complete his lap to see what happens. He's currently 6th behind Phil Crowe, but I think he might, if he can continue this way, the German rider could nudge Crowe out of 5th place and even maybe Michael Rutter out of 4th, and maybe even Costomo. It all depends. Datzer's got reasonably clear track ahead of him. So very sedate looking Peter Hickman coming in to take the checkered flag. In fact, he'll just come straight in. He won't bother with the checkered flag. So Peter Hickman holds pole position. David Datzer, we have to keep an eye on 55 David Datzer. He's just put in the fastest of any rider at the Sector 3. He's just done a 31.4. He's done 2 personal bests on the first and second sectors. David Datzer is leaving it. Here he is now. Datzer, he is certainly going to improve. He's just done another fast sector 4, 33.1. So this is going to be possibly 3rd behind Todd and Hickman. So here comes David Datzer to take the checkered flag now. His best was a 229.5, and David Datzer crosses the line, does a 226.7. There we go. So Datzer goes 3rd fastest. Wow, 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 wow. He will be beaming in that helmet as soon as he finds out there. What a lap from David Datzer. We've been talking about Hickman, Todd, Costomo, etc. But David Datzer has just gone, hey, don't forget about me. Went so well at Macau last year, and he's just put in a 226.7. That is impressive. Very, very impressive. He's gone quicker than Costomo. He's gone quicker than Rutter. Wow, 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 wow. I said keep an eye on him. There'll be no more changes at that time, so the leaderboard as it looks will be the same. That's the times they'll take into the second qualifying session this afternoon. Mora and McCormack both improving on their last laps. Mora 10th, McCormack 9th. Hodson 8th, Jordan 7th, Crowe 6th, Rutter 5th. And Datzer, he was getting really, really fast. And I just wonder, surely he can't keep this up all the way through to the last, but boy did he. 2:26.7. That's almost 2.5 seconds faster than Costomo. So David Datzer, wow, no one was expecting that. Nobody. And just half a second off Peter Hickman. So, and I know the likes of Peter Hickman and Davey Todd will be going, massive respect to Datzer for putting that one in. So just running through the top riders now. So Paul Williams down in 12th, so he's 12 seconds out. And of course, Mark Goodings had that little tip off at turn 10 early in the session. So 22 riders completing the first qualifying session at Macau. There was a second one later on this afternoon, of course. It will be hotter. Whether the pace will be upped depends, or remains to be seen. Depends on how happy the riders are with their setup, with the times they've put in. But wow, what a way to end that first session here in Macau. Peter Hickman, 2:26.1. Davey Todd, 2:26.3. David Datzer, 2:26.7. And all BMW top 3 as well. In fact, Costomo is also on a BMW. So too is Rutter, Phil Crow, Paul Jordan, Bike 22, also on BMW.